Stitch Cuties, I'm Brittany with Stitches of Love Quilting, and in this video tutorial we are going to make our Sunny block, which is block 8 of our Loads of Fun quilt, and this is the embroidery machine version. So I do want to point out something very important. First off, go on and get your pieces in order of how they appear in the pattern, and of course it's helpful if you use your placement guide and also your reverse applique pieces to help you number and get those ready to go. But I want to point out, really important, on steps 11 and 13, when we are ironing our pieces, it's bolded. We're going to make sure we iron piece 25 only partially, because then in the next step, we will put piece number 9 on and it slips under that piece 25. So I do want to point this out, and again, I'll point it out in the tutorial as we go along. And then you'll also want to use your pattern to get all of your threads lined up. And so without further ado, it is ready to go. And so we are going to get started by putting our background fabric on our sulky stabilizer that's in our hoop. I've gone on and done the first step, which is our guideline. And then we're gonna take our stars and we are gonna put them right over. You're gonna center it, and then it's going past the stitch line on the left and right, or rather the top and bottom, because I do turn my hoop. And instead of using tape, I'm gonna use my Sew Tights, and I'm just gonna put it above where I have that stitch line because I don't want my machine to hit it. And I'm gonna put my Sew Tight in the corners. I'm really enjoying using these, so let me know if you have some and you use them, if you like them. I think it's really helpful. I'm using this instead of my tape. Historically, as in for years, like a decade, I've used my 3M transport tape, like medical tape, and it's really helpful to keep your fabric in place on the first step when you need it to. But now I have these Sew Tights, and it's just really, I like them. They're handy. You can use them over and over. You can use them on other things, like when you're doing binding, when you're doing, I don't know what else, making a bag, because you know, there's all kinds of stuff we like to do as quilters, right? So I have that held in place, and I'm going to continue on with my white thread for the first round of applique outlines. Okay, so we have our first round of applique outlines. So what I'm going to do is slide my Sew Tights off and put them aside. And if you use tape, you will simply want to remove your tape at this time. There you go. When you're working with the Sew Tights, it's best to kind of slide. I find that to be the easiest. And then just kind of slide them back together. And one more. There we go. And now we're gonna start ironing on our applique pieces. As always, I turn my hoop sideways so that it fits on my Steady Betty and in front of the camera nicely. And so we are gonna start numerically with number 1. And we're just gonna go in order of the numbers that the pattern tells us. As always, we're in month 8 by now, so you guys are pros at this. You're like, yeah, Brittany, we know what we're doing. But it's fun to watch the video, right? We kind of stitch along together. Now we're gonna put on the series of number 2s. They're 2A through D. I honestly, y'all, I don't know why we numbered it 2A, B, C, and D instead of like 2, 3, 4, 5, but we did. So we're doing it this way. And then we have 2B, which is the top left corner of our truck, and it goes slightly over the gray, just ever so slightly. There we go. And this way, this is 2C, the top of our truck. And again, you don't want to force your piece. It's going to go right in place where it belongs. Now we have 2D over here on the side. This is such a cute month. I don't know if you know this, but Mom and I are from Panama City Beach. I grew up on the beach. Oddly, not a super fan of going to the beach. I don't like to be sandy, but I think this is a really cute block, and it reminds me of that. And I know if you're not from the beach, you probably went on beach vacations. So hopefully this block has fun memories for you as well. I know my husband and I love to go on cruises. We try to do at least one a year. Mom and I go on cruises too. We go on biking cruises in Europe. so there's no beach. But Mom and I do, or Steven and I do a lot of cruising like in the Bahamas. And this year we went down to, he's Dutch, so we made a point of going to all the Dutch islands. So we did Aruba and Bonaire and Curacao, and that was really fun. Aruba, of course, known for its beaches. So I kind of think about that as well with this block. Now we're putting on piece 13. That was piece 12 that I just ironed on. I'm talking instead of talking about the block. So there we go. And then we just have our 2 tires to put on, and do make sure the tires are ever so slightly different. So do make sure you put the right tire in the right place. They're ever so slightly different. There we go. And then for our next step, as always, we'll continue with the white thread. And then we'll be ready for our next round of applique outlines. So let me show you what your hoop should look like right now. We're on the way to building a truck. Okay, so now we're ready to iron on our next round of applique pieces. And this is the step that has the bolded notice on step 11. We're not gonna iron piece 25 all the way down. So I'll show you that. So first up, we're gonna start with our sun. And I gave myself an arrow. I used my placement guide, put it on there, and then I did the flip to give myself an arrow. So the upside is over here on my block because I have it turned sideways. So I'm just gonna put my arrow facing that way. Make sure he's in the right orientation, and then I will pull it because the sun is not a perfect circle. It is a little bit different on every little point. And so you wanna make sure that you get it in the right direction. A tip for finding which way it goes, it's kind of like a flat side on this bottom right here because it goes into the underneath the castle. So that's a helpful tip in orienting it the right way. Now we will put the first piece of, or no, the second piece of our castle down. Did you all ever build sandcastles? I will say I did like to build sandcastles when I was a kid. It's very fun. There we go. Something satisfying about, you remember the buckets? They had like the little castle edges, kind of like how this castle's gonna look. It was very satisfying to make sand do what you wanted it to do. All right, and now we're putting on the first little claw of our little, I guess that's a crab. Y'all, last week I didn't know what the little spinner thing was. This week I don't know if it's a crab or a, I guess he's a crab, right? He wouldn't be a lobster, he'd be red. I don't know, he's something cute. Now we are putting on our first flip-flop. That is a necessary in Florida. However, as I have gotten older, I have a harder time walking in flip-flops. When I was younger, oh my gosh, I lived in them. Now, not so much. Okay, so now we're gonna do piece number 24. This is the left, or the bottom in the screen, but it's the left side of your umbrella. Beach umbrellas are a must. Oh my gosh, we go down to the coast and my husband has a small sailboat. So he'll go on the boat and Buttons and I will play with the ball in the water. But I have to have my umbrella set up to be in the shade. Okay, and now this is piece number 25, infamous piece 25. And you can see when I was numbering it, I gave myself a little star on it just so I wouldn't forget. And so what we're gonna do when we iron it, we're only gonna iron at the very tip. We're not gonna iron down to the base because the top of the sandcastle is gonna come just barely under it, but a little bit. So I'm just ironing it right here. And so I have a flap, right? It's like, it's a flap. And it's gonna be fine in the machine while we move on to the next step. So this is what your hoop should look like right now. And now your machine will move on to the very next step. Okay, so we're ready with our next round of applique outlines, but before we iron them on, I do wanna mention one more thing about the step with this little flap. The machine is gonna stitch the outline of piece 26, then it comes over here and does your flag number 11, and then your machine in one fell swoop does 10, 6, and 9. So when it got to the base of 9, I paused my machine. I very carefully put my finger behind where the foot was, not in danger of sewing myself, don't worry. And then I continued with that step. So it would do that little point without stitching on this. So do make sure you're really paying attention on this step and flapping that back. So now we're ready to sew those pieces on, but before we do, the flap goes down. And no, it doesn't go down, Brittany. You guys, I talked about it, and then it doesn't go down. Ah, why did I do that? But that's okay. We're gonna talk about how fusible is forgiving, you guys. What am I doing? So we'll continue. Okay, we're gonna put our piece number 6 in place. You guys, I was doing so good, and then I ironed it down. Don't iron it down. That's hilarious. And then we are gonna do the top of our castle. This is now number 9. So we're going in numerical order. So we are gonna put that down. So that little point is gonna be just under. And so I will iron that and then plop that back down. So your fusible is forgiving, and that if while it's still hot, you can kind of use your fingernail or like the edge of a needle or tweezers and just lightly lift it if you need to. So now we will put down piece number 10. And then, there we go. Now we have our little flag. How cute is this? A little flag at the top of the castle. This is number 11. So cute. I will say the flags that I built at the beach never had a flag at the top. I don't know how I would have made that. I guess you could have brought a flag. Then we have the first piece, the little strap of our flip-flop. And these two over and underlaps, you want to make sure that you put down, what is this, piece 21? Before you put down piece 22, which is the next flip-flop. There we go. And make sure that's good in place. There we go. And now we have one more piece on this step, and that is piece number 26, the next piece of our umbrella. There we go. All right, so this is what your hoop should look like thus far, and we're ready to go on to the next step. Okay, so we're ready for our next round, and you do want to do your numerical order for sure here because a lot of the pieces over and underlap have a piece of fuzz. There we go. So first up, we're going to put down piece number 7, the heart on the front of our castle. It's a little small piece. You may want to have your little tool out if you want to get it in place. There we go. This is a handy tool if you haven't seen me use it before. It is the, what is her name? Alex Anderson 4-in-1 tool. We carry this because it's so handy. Seam ripper, unfortunately, sometimes you do need those. The little stylus, and then these are really nice points for creasing or turning items. So it's a really helpful tool. Now we'll put on the door, just like so. And it lines up perfectly at the bottom, so you know you're in place. Then we will put down the arm. Is that what you call it on a crab? Do they have arms, legs, tentacles, items, something? There we go. And then we'll put his little claw on. He's very friendly, this little guy. One time, oh my gosh, you guys, Mom and I were in Palm Coast, Florida, and we were, what is it, A1A? Is that the main street, A1A? And Beachfront Avenue. And Mom had just ordered crab cakes, and I kid you not, a little crab walked across the street, managed to not get hit by a car, walked up into the patio deck area of the restaurant, and then started towards the door of the restaurant. And Mom and I were laughing so hard because I was like, well, Mom, your crab cake's going to be very fresh. But that poor little crab, I don't know why, he was just like giving himself into the restaurant. It was hilarious. I mean, he was on a mission to the front door of that restaurant. We laugh at that all the time still. There's a really cute quilt shop in Palm Coast and a good cross-stitch store there too as well. So if you're ever in the area on vacation, or if you happen to live in Florida like us, it's a good spot to jump over to. All right, and now we're putting on the next little piece, the final piece of our flip-flop. And now another piece of our umbrella. This is number 27. And after we iron this piece on, you know the drill. We'll continue with white thread for our next round of applique outlines. But let's take a look. This is what your hoop should look like thus far. Okay, so we have our next round of outlines. We are gonna start by giving our little guys some eyes. Now you have 4 circles for that because we are double lining them and they are all the exact same circle. So it doesn't matter which one you put where. They're all exactly identical. So what I'll do is put one down on each circle and then I'll come back with the second layer to double line it. There we go. Little tap. So cute. Oh my gosh. I really love when we start getting towards the final steps of building the units in the hoop, because then you really see the design. And then I find it so therapeutic to watch the machine stitch through all the different colors, don't you? It's really fun. I get excited as it starts to come to life. There we go. And boop, a little press. Now we're going to put on another piece of our umbrella. This is number 28. Super cute. I love these different fabrics. I would use this umbrella. I think it's adorable. There we go. Give that a press. Now, the bottom of our little truck. Were y'all thinking, when are we going to do the truck? A lot of times the truck is one of the first pieces in the blocks, but the way this layers, it ends up being one of the last steps that we're building out the actual little truck. So just make sure you have it in place and then work your way over. Easy peasy. And then another double layered is our actual license plate. Ooh, getting some static or it's sticking to me. There we go. And I'll go on and layer that second piece at the same time. There we go. And press. There we go. Let's continue on with our white thread for the next round of applique outlines. Alrighty, so we have 2 more pieces to iron on. We have the final piece of our umbrella. And it's gonna go right in place like so. There we go. And now our bumper. Super cute. These are the, it's called Shabby, the fabric, I believe. Shabby by Riley Blake. I just love the little like print and texture it gives it instead of just being solid. Looks really cute. So get this in place, iron it all the way across. And now we have one more final step, and that, or final step of building the applique units in the hoop, I should say, and that is for the little frame around our license plate. Okay, so let's iron on that final piece, the little license plate, and just get that lined up like so. There you go. And give it a press. And so now we have one more step with white, and that is for the little eyeballs of our little crab to be buttonhole stitched. And then after that, we're gonna go through all these beautiful colors that we have lined out on the side, just like is outlined in your pattern. I am going to take my hoop on and off to discuss all the color changes and show you what's stitched. However, for you at your sewing machine, you don't need to take your hoop off again until the very end when you're ready to trim your block. So let's keep going. Alrighty, our little guy has some eyeballs. Now it's time to put on the 1218 silver gray, and your machine is going to stitch the little bit of your rear view mirror that is showing and then your bumper of your truck. Okay, so now you have a rear view mirror and a bumper. So now it's time to load the beautiful red, this true red 1039, and all of the red of your truck, and then your little heart and your flag will be stitched. Alrighty, so now all of your red is stitched. It's looking good, I love it. Now we're going to load the 1061 pale yellow and our sun, and then the little tops of our flip-flops will be stitched. Alrighty, so the little tops of our flip-flops and our sun are now stitched. Now we're going to load the 1019 peach, and a lot of our, or all of our sandcastle will be stitched. Oh, how cute. Look at your little sand castle. Now it's time for the castle to have a door. So we are going to load 1056 medium tawny tan for the little door to stitch for us. Okay, so your door is now stitched, and you can see there's a little line down the center. That is a cute little accent line that the machine did for you. So now we're going to load black, and we are going to have the base of our umbrella, the plate around our license tag, and then our tires will be stitched. Alrighty, so now all the black is stitched. We have our tires, the frame around our license plate, and the umbrella base. So now we're going to load the 1095 turquoise. Such a beautiful color, isn't it? And our whole little crab is going to be stitched. It'll be so cute. Alrighty, take a look at your little crab. He's so cute. So now we are going to load 1177 avocado, and our flipper flops will be stitched. Alrighty, we have flip-flops. Now it's time to load the 1833 pumpkin pie. And yes, your machine says 1168, but you use 1833 pumpkin pie, and your whole umbrella is going to be stitched. All right, let's take a look at that umbrella. Looking so cute when it's stitched, isn't it? I really like it. So now we are to the point where it is time for our filaine thread. If you are using the filaine thread, you're going to want to get your, let me grab them, 100/16 needles out. These are universal, but what this needle is a much larger eye so that this thick thread can pass through. So you're going to change your needle, and you're also going to slow your machine down. Now, if you are not using the filaine thread, we also give you the rayon numbers. So you would, on this next step, what we're going to stitch is the little smile and the eyes on our crab. So I'm going to put on the 3625 charcoal gray filaine thread, or if you're using the rayon thread, you'll put the 1218 silver gray thread back on your machine. So let's get to it. Oh my gosh, y'all, look how stinking cute. Oh my gosh, he's adorable. He's smiling. And also, I forgot to mention before, our flagpole also stitched. You gotta have a flagpole for the flag to stay up. So now we're on our final thread color, and it is 3211 apricot, and it is going to write the word sunny for us. Or if you're using the rayon, you're gonna use the 1833 pumpkin pie that you used up here on your umbrella. And now sunny is stitched. So let's take a look from top to bottom. So absolutely adorable. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial for the Loads of Fun Block 8 on your embroidery machine. If you have any questions at all, never hesitate to reach out. And next month we're doing, I think, maybe my favorite block of the quilt, which is the sewing themed one for Block 9. So I'll see you then.